You think you know someone. Peter Arvin had been my neighbor for almost 10 years. I had dined with him 100 times. I had helped him build fences, dig holes to plant shade trees, clean gutters. For hours I'd watched him shape and smooth wood in his studio. He had comforted me after my first wife left me, and he soaked up my tears when my dog died. When his baby was born, I was there next to him. He had invited me to hold the cord while he cut it. I did, although I never knew why. In Peter's company, and at his insistence, I had finished many bottles of his good wine that I had no business finishing, and run a handful of 10Ks that I had no business running. I had never beaten him at tennis, not once. I doubt it had ever crossed his mind to let me win. Peter liked being the best. He liked being an anachronism, too. The music that blared constantly in his studio always came from old records, LPs, Creedence Clearwater, Grand Funk, Cream, early Airplane. Peter relished an opportunity to serve Tornetto's Rossini or Beef Wellington to a dining room full of bolder cholesterol phobics. He drove a 1976 Volvo station wagon with an AM radio. If he ever owned new clothing, I never saw it. Peter loved the backcountry and the mountains, and yet had married a woman who thought the city of Boulder was a wilderness. He camped and hiked alone, usually in the Indian peaks, and on days when inspiration avoided him in his studio, he could often be found hanging at some gravitationally defiant angle on a rock face in El Dorado Canyon. Peter was a regular practitioner of free soloing, which involves climbing high rock faces without ropes or safety gear. I wouldn't have gone near those same vertical walls without scaffolding. One night, at a dinner of fiery jerked shrimp that Peter had prepared shortly after he and Adrienne had gotten pregnant, she asked him to give it up. Just like that. "No more free soloing?" he said, without looking up from his meal. "That's right, Geppetto. No more free soloing. The guys that do it are literally a dying breed. I want you around to change diapers." He exhaled before asking, "Can I still sport climb?" Adrienne nodded. Sport climbing meant ropes and hardware, and if Adrienne got her way, a helmet. To me, the difference between free soloing and sport climbing was akin to the difference between swimming with sharks unarmed and swimming with sharks while carrying a penknife. But no one asked my opinion, and I kept it to myself. Adrienne nodded again. She said, "Sport climbing's okay." Peter's eyes smiled, but the corners of his mouth never turned up. I was only an observer that night, but the interchange had appeared to be a graceful marital contract negotiated without rancor. Over the next year, though, I heard through mutual friends that more than once Peter had been seen on the diving board or tagger or another world-class climb in El Dorado, no ropes, no helmet. A colleague, a clinical psychologist like myself, who had witnessed one of these remarkable solo climbs, reasoned that every successful ascent Peter made was really nothing more than a failed suicide attempt. Peter Arvin wore his blond hair down to his shoulders and shaved once a week, whether his wispy beard needed it or not. His smile was that of a leprechaun, and he was miserly enough with it that you knew it was special when he directed one your way. His eyes were one shade more golden than hazel, and they always seemed sadder and wiser than everyone else's. Even in metaphysical Boulder, Peter could bring a room full of locals to awkward silence with his musings on the meaning of some aspect of